Hello, a very warm welcome to Happy Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Nadine and I am originally from Montreal, Canada, and I now live in Australia, specifically near Byron Bay in northern New South Wales. And today I'm going to be talking to you about some of my knitting. I have two finished objects which have been blocked. I've got a new work in progress, and I wanted to ask some advice on a Boyland Knits pattern, see if anyone can recommend it or not. Okay, so my first finished object that I'm going to be chatting about is the Festive Yoke Pullover. I have the camera closer to my face than normal, so I hope everything is going to be in frame. So this is a pattern by Skeindeer Knits, and it is kind of like a Christmassy sweater. You have different options of knitting the color work throughout the entire sweater or pullover, as she calls it, but I chose to only knit it in the yoke. And I knit it using Berroco Lanas, and I think the color is called Raspberry, and I really love it. I spoke before about this color. It's kind of like a very dark red, and if you look really close, you can see it's got a little bit of blue in it, which I just love. This color is giving me all the good Christmassy vibes without being overly Christmassy. It's not that like Santa Claus red. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's not this kind of red. It leans more, purpley, more blue. And so if you've been watching my episodes, I spoke about when I knit this, I knit color work very, very loose. And the reason I do that, I know I'm the opposite of most people. I really like it to be, to maintain its stretch. So what I do is, as I'm knitting, when I finish carrying my float over, I give it a little extra tug to make sure it's almost like a rainbow, like it's got some give. So because, knitting stretches side to side. So if your float is, the exact length of your knitting, when you pull it, you won't be able to pull it. It's just that float is gonna prevent you from pulling it further. So I always do my color work a little bit loose. And I was a bit concerned because when I got to the body, I tried to knit loose as well, because I was looking back at the yoke when I had finished it, and I thought, okay, that's really loose. So I wanted to make sure that the body didn't, cinch in a lot, because my normal tension is, I wouldn't say tight, I would say regular. So this was loose. So I tried to knit this really loose, and before it was blocked, the stitches were all over the place, and it did not look really nice. And then as I held it out, like as I put it on the table, I was really worried that the body was going to be too loosey-goosey. I was saying that, as your round yoke grows like this, and then when you start knitting flat, it kind of made like a wave in my fabric of the body. And anyways, I was just hoping, fingers crossed, that it would all work out when I blocked it, and sure enough, it has. I honestly thought I was gonna have to reknit the body. When I did the arms, so I did the arms last, I was, obviously aware of the issue with that being, the stitches looking not very nice. So when I did the arms, I went up a needle size. So that's kind of opposite. Normally people go up a needle size for the color work. I actually went up for the plain. And honestly, let me have a look without my glasses on. Yeah. Okay, I do see a difference. I do feel like, I don't know if you can see, the stitches are a lot neater on the arm, but honestly, you have to look that close, that close to notice. And yeah, it just, can I put it on? I'll try to put it on. I do have the air conditioning on today. I think we're in the high 20s today. So here we go. It does have some funny folds in it from what I always just lay my garments flat to dry, and there we go. So I love the way the round yoke fits on my shoulders. I know a lot of people prefer raglan, but I think it sits really, really nice on my build. And Let me just stand up behind here. I think I knit it to pattern for the length. I also added a little bit extra color work above both of the hems of the body and the sleeves. Just a repeat of that first and you know, that color work that repeats kind of all over. I'm just very, very, very pleased with this. Okay, it's warm. I'm gonna take it off. There we go. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. I love this so much. I would definitely knit it again, and it's a Christmassy sweater without being overly Christmassy. It does have trees, but you know, they can just be trees. They don't have to be Christmas trees. And then 2 different types of snowflakes. So it's just really a wintry pullover. Yeah, I love it so much. I forgot to mention what I'm wearing. This top is just an improvised top that I made. I believe I used a linen yarn. I think it's half cotton, half linen. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it and put on the screen. And yeah, I just improvised it. I just cast on a certain amount of stitches and did a raglan and did yarn overs for the increases. My sleeve, I think after I split for sleeves, I just did 5 rounds in garter and then cast off. And at the bottom, I did a little lace pattern and I bound off with some crochet shell stitch. I don't know if you can see that. Like I said, I'm not used to having the camera so close. Anyways, yeah. I want to say, is it BC Garn Alino? It might be something like that. Yeah. No, is it? I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen for sure. Sorry about that. Okay, my second finished object. Where's the other one? Oh, here it is a pair of socks. I'm also very pleased with these socks. And again, these are sisters, not twins. The pattern isn't exactly right. So this is a self-striping yarn. It is a yarn I bought in Calgary at Michael's. The self-striping one is from Michael's and it is Patons Kroy. And for the cuffs, heels, and toes, I used Rosario, Rosa, Pomar, Mondim, which I got at Stash Lounge 2 years ago. And I just love them. I'm super, super happy with them. Yeah, I did mention the past couple times, you know, you may be sick of me saying it, but I'm not a big fan of the chunky stripes, like the stripe sections. I really would have preferred if each color would have striped once, kind of, you know, in turn, but that's all right. I'm happy with it. Anyways, they are really cute and cozy. Oh yeah, one thing I want to say about this yarn, it happened in one ball. I used 2 balls, or I have 2 balls, and I still have enough left over, to be honest, to make another pair. But in one of the balls, as I was knitting along, and let me know if you can relate to this, you know, knots, I understand knots in yarn, especially commercial yarn. It's fine, it happens, I understand, part of the process. However, I really wish in a yarn like this, where the color is very specific, if they paid a little bit more attention to where they did the knot. So I'll try to put a photo. I was going along, and then midway through a color section, there was a knot and it just attached to some random other color. So that was really disappointing. I had to, like, luckily I had lots of yarn that I could, you know, keep pulling the yarn until I got to the right section, because that's really frustrating. And I know that's happened to me also with Noro yarn, and Noro yarn is very expensive yarn. It's very beautiful, but, and you know, really known for its beautiful colors, and then suddenly you'll be going and then, yeah, there's a knot and it's just attached to some other random color, and yeah, it's just pretty disappointing. I should say I have not used Noro yarn in probably 15 years, but I do remember that happening to me more than once and being quite bummed about it. But anyways, yeah, the other thing that's quite tricky about using yarn like this is when you're starting, you don't really know at what point of the repetition of stripes that you're starting at, so it can be a bit tricky. So I started, they're toe up. So I started at, anyways, this section, and you're going and you're like, okay, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. You have no idea how many stripes are gonna be involved. And then, I guess you just have to base your second sock on your first sock. And you can see I did make a mistake. I think I started one, my dog's dreaming. I think I started one from the center pull and one from the outside pull. So I think that's what happened. That's why they're not exactly the same, but that's okay. I think they're cute that way anyways. This is just a vanilla pair of socks, just 64 stitches, starting with a toe up. I do a round toe. I did the shadow wrap heel and just a 1x1 ribbing for the cuff. And oh yes, I did want to mention, if you watched my last video, I talked about how I'm kind of making the switch to continental knitting, and I used, I don't think I have them in here, I used shorties. And the first time I tried using shorties, I was knitting a pair of socks, just English style, and I did not like it at all. It really hurt my hands. I really felt the missing, a couple of centimeters on the actual needle. I found it was hurting my fingers, and I had to hold everything a bit differently, and I did not like it. Even by the time I'd finished an entire sock, I did not get used to it. However, that being said, using the shorties with continental knitting, I like it. It was fine. Like, I don't even think I would have noticed a difference had they have not been shorties. It was really comfortable, and and it just made the socks go really fast because you're able to knit without doing magic loop. And it was really fast. Also, I used 2.75 millimeter needles for these socks. Reason being, last time I used the Rosario Rosa Pomar yarn, I had to go up from 2.5 to 2.75 because my gauge was just way off. And I'm happy with how they turned out. They're a great size, and I definitely love them. So I'm just on a bit of a sock journey at the moment, and like I said, I've bought a lot of sock yarn recently, so I'm not someone who usually has yarn, just in a stash. I like to buy yarn, use it, buy yarn, use it. So yes, here's my work in progress. So I gotta say, I'm really happy with how these turned out. I wanted to make a pair of stripy socks. I bought this beautiful sock yarn in Noosa in Queensland, and it's called Onion. It's from Italy, and it's 70% wool and 30% nettle. One of my viewers last week thought that I had said metal, and I thought, metal, that's what I need to keep my socks from getting holes in them. But no, nettle. So here it is, and let's see, I've got one finished. Which way should I put it? I have not blocked these, but here's the stripes, and maybe you saw in the introduction, but here are the toadstools at the top. So I love toadstools. I don't know, do I have any here? Oh, I just got a few different mushrooms here, but no red toadstools. But I love toadstools. And I wanted to make a pair of socks with some, and I have seen quite a few pairs on Ravelry, and I love them, but I just, when I was at the store looking at this yarn, I just fell in love with this color palette. And this is what happened. This is what I came up with. So I did go back to 2.5 millimeter needles. That being said, I don't know, maybe I could have maybe kept the larger size, but I didn't. I went down because I wasn't sure, and I did a round toe and then 64 stitches. I striped the yarn every 4 rows, and I carried the yarn up the side, which was a little bit tricky because you really got to make sure you leave quite a lot there so that it's not pulling. And I did not do jogless stripes. My stripes are very jogged, but that's fine with me. I just made sure when I did the other pair that I put the heel on the side so that the two jogs could be in the middle facing each other. And when I got to the Toadstool, you can see what I did was I did the little stem of the mushroom in the brown, and I just did 2 stitches there twice. And then when I got to the white stripe, I increased to the color work to 4 stitches for 2 rows, and then went in 4, 5, 4, and then went into 2. So I'm very pleased. Hopefully when I block it, it'll turn out even nicer. My husband looked at it and said, "Oh, is that ice cream?" I was like, "No, it's not ice cream. They're mushrooms." So I don't know. I'm debating if I want to maybe put some little white polka dots into the top. I'm not too sure. I was thinking maybe something like a French knot, but yeah, let me know if you've ever put a French knot in your knitting, if you think that'll work. But I'm just so head over heels in love with these socks. They are so, so adorable. And yeah, I cannot wait to wear them. And I also cannot wait to see how they're gonna wear, because I've never used a sock yarn before. I'm very interested in using yarn that is plastic free, which this is. It is superwash, but the lady at the shop said that it was not done the traditional way of plasticizing the yarn. And yeah, nettle instead of nylon. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's going to be a very durable yarn. And I'm also gonna have enough left over to make, I think, another pair of socks after, because I have 3 50-gram balls. So I'm thinking of maybe doing like candy cane stripe and then maybe this for the heels and toes and cuff. Yeah, we'll see. I might have to leave that project to next Christmas maybe. Yeah, just sorry. I don't have any shorties in 2.5, so I did end up using the magic loop, which, to be honest, I found, quite tiresome. And this yarn, what is the reason I was doing this? I found the yarn I found myself as I was knitting the row, which I didn't do with my other socks, but I found the way that I found it comfortable was I was wrapping the yarn like 8 times around my finger, and then I would knit a few stitches and then drop a loop every couple so that it really held the tension throughout the whole time. Maybe it was because the yarn is not slippery, like it wasn't sliding through my fingers enough. And I really do like to hold it like that, so it's up high. So I think that was a reason. Also, it's very hot at the moment, so maybe that could be another reason why, I'm hot. Maybe my hands are like a little bit damp. So maybe the yarn wasn't slipping for that reason. But yeah, that was just a little trick that I used, is I wrapped the yarn like 8 times around my finger, did like maybe 3 stitches, undid one of the loops, another 3 or 4 stitches. And then by the time I got to the end, I was at the end of all the yarn wrapped around my finger. So is that a tip? I don't know. That's just what I did. Okay, so I spoke last week about wanting to knit the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. I forgot to bring my yarn, but if you watched last week's or 2 weeks ago, I have some Spincycle dyed in the wool, which I bought on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm going to hold it with Holst Coast, which is cotton and wool. My plan is to make the Alpine Bloom tee by Boyland Knits, Caitlin Hunter, and I just really want to know if anyone who's watching has knit it. It has this lace at the collar and lace at the cuff, and yeah, I don't know if I'm loving that part, but I do love the color work, and I think it's going to look so gorgeous. The hold on, I'll go get the yarn. I'll pause it. Here's a tip: don't store your yarn close to crochet hooks, especially when you're trying to grab yarn in a rush. That made quite a mess. Okay, so, oh yeah, that crochet hook got onto this and really did a number on it. But, okay, so I really want to use this navy blue, and the colors that I have, which she had skeined up. This is leftover from somebody's project on Facebook Marketplace that I bought. So it's called Mississippi Masala. And I want to have this navy blue as my main color. And yeah, I think it's going to look really beautiful in the color work. I'm just not sure about the lace at the neck. So yeah, so I might just buy the pattern and look at how many stitches are on the neck and do a provisional cast on, and then knit the color work, and then decide if I want to do the lace. And I think from what I've read, and yeah, it's not, I think it's actually in her, before you buy the pattern, it's in the information that the lace work on the sleeve is grafted on. So I think I could do the same thing if I wanted to after make the lace and then graft it on. And yeah, let me know what you think. Has anyone made the Alpine Bloom? It is beautiful. And yeah, what do you think? Isn't that gonna look so pretty? And again, as I mentioned last time, the Holst coast is half wool, half cotton. So I think for a t-shirt in Australia, it's going to be a lot more practical than if I were to knit, you know, a t-shirt in wool, which I have a few t-shirts in wool, and I think they're even worsted wool, and I never wear them. It's just never really appropriate to wear a worsted wool t-shirt in the summer. When you want to wear a worsted wool is in winter when you need sleeves. But that's just me, at least. Okay. And I think that is all that I wanted to talk about for today. Let me just double check. Yes, okay. For my video that's going to be after for my outro, I just wanted to show you in my garden. At the moment, we've got quite a few things fruiting. We have a pineapple, which is almost fully grown, and our dragon fruit. We have some dragon fruit that's kind of growing up, some palm trees, and they're flowering at the moment. And dragon fruit flowers, I don't know if you know, they are humongous. Before they open up, they are about this big, and when they bloom, honestly, they're huge, and they're so, so beautiful. They bloom at night, so they start to open during the day. So I took a little video at the end of them bloomed at night, so a bit hard to see, but yeah. And they're quite high up, so I don't have any close-up videos. And yeah, just the bummer about it is for some reason, they never fruit. So last year and the year before, so I think the first year we had maybe 3 flowers. Last year, 20. This year it looks like it's gonna be even more, but they flower and they never fruited. So I thought, maybe the bees weren't, what's happening, the bees aren't pollinating them. But I think the issue is, after Googling it, there's 2 types of dragon fruit. One is self-pollinating and the other one needs to be manually pollinated. And yeah, I would love to do that, but I can't really see myself getting onto a ladder and climbing up the palm tree and trying to pollinate the dragon fruit, unfortunately, because I love dragon fruit. And yeah, it's really sad that we're not getting the fruit, but at least we do get to enjoy the beautiful flowers. Well, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and drop me a comment letting me know where you're watching from. And yeah, I really look forward to talking to you again next week. Hopefully my socks will be finished, and yeah, maybe I will have bought the pattern by then. We'll see. The Alpine Bloom pattern. So who knows? Maybe I'll even have cast on and got started on it. And I'm rambling on. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.